Greetings, golfers. Welcome to another episode of the Sunday Sandbagger podcast, where we talk all things fantasy golf, golf betting, and the Sunday Sandbagger Fantasy Golf League. I am your host, SportsGuyTy, joined as always by Roy Tin Cup McAvoy, who's got the Waste Management Phoenix Open, hole number 16 in the background. Hello to you, good sir.
Hello, gentlemen.
Excellent background. Also joined as always by ShallowCal, and unfortunately has a bit more comfortable background. But what we're not seeing on camera is what's really causing the issues tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Rolled up a little bit of an ankle on the stair today. A little black and blue, so I'm confined to the bed for the evening with a little package of ice, some ice cold Two-Hearteds, and a little Chinese food.
All right, so we got one on the mend, drinking a Two-Hearted. Roy Tin Cup McAvoy not on the mend, but still on the prowl, looking for a re-entry to the GroupMe. What are we drinking tonight at the podcast saucer?
So I've got a surprise for you. The beer is, just the classic Oberon, but Ty, I think you'll like this. My koozie.
Oh, yes, there it is.
My koozie is Mr. and Mrs. Alashewski wedding koozie.
Fantastic, with the
nice
heart right over Taylor and the big Mississippi. I love it.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I myself have got a glass of Pinot. I'm drinking a little Storyteller tonight, left over from Mari's homemade turkey bolognese.
Yum.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Nice and lean. Keep you,
Dude, I'm on a fitness kick. I started lifting weights for the first time since I was 15 years old. I'm getting buff, so I can add 7 to 10 yards to my 235-yard drive.
There you go, baby. You know what you need to start doing is my routine. Get out there, with the long boys. If you just start drinking 6-packs of Two-Hearteds when you're on the course, you get that extra distance, no problem, baby.
The Two-Hearteds are known to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about tonight, boys. We're going to recap the Farmers Insurance Open, both from, again, a fantasy golf perspective of our home league, the Sunday Sandbagger, but also from a real golf perspective. Lots of storylines to talk about. Patrick Reed being the least of which, actually the most of which. We'll get into the Waste Management Phoenix Open as well. We'll give you our best bets in right-click print money as well. But let's go ahead and jump right in, fellas. Sunday Sandbagger, recap the Farmers Insurance Open. First of all, Patrick Reed, a winner on tour again. How do we feel about that?
I mean, he cheated, but, and he's so smug about it. So it doesn't really help just how he responds. Rory had a very similar situation, but, he called people over, checked before anything was done. He got the okay. The way that Reed handled it, I think, was the wrong way, and it doesn't help that he already has a stigma and a past of nefarious actions.
I think that's the main thing, right? I mean, his past.
Absolutely
100% his past. So for me, with the Patrick Reed thing, I think both players kind of did the same thing. Patrick Reed asked the lady, "Hey, did you see this bounce?" And she said no. She didn't see it bounce. Okay, fine. He called over, said something to somebody. But for me, where I kind of, he picks up his ball, everything else, he doesn't clean it. He's very by the book there. He lets everybody know what he's doing. He's very above board. But when he bends back down to push to put the ball back on the ground in supposedly where it was embedded, even though it had already bounced, what I think he did is I think he pushed the ball in a little bit when he was going down there, and embedded it himself. And that's where I kind of think he got away with it and tricked the official, is when he went back down there, because if he went and put the ball back down, there's no way that it's going into the ground. If he's just literally placing it back where it was. So that's where I think he lost me.
It was pretty clear the ball bounced.
It was pretty clear. And
And
I think
what he did is he touched the ball before a rules official was present, right? I think that's the big thing that everybody's got beef with, and what you could potentially look to as a disqualification.
Yep.
But here's the thing, like I kind of like Patrick Reed.
I do. I do.
I'm a little ashamed to admit that, but he's a villain, and the PGA Tour needs villains, and he owns it. Like that interview that he gave to Amanda Balionis after the round on Saturday was just like so smug and cocky, and, like perfect Patrick Reed, and then he comes out and just dominates on Sunday. Like there's no rules controversy. Like I'm just gonna step on the throats.
I think he knows the rules so well that's how he kind of does it. He was like, because by the book, he actually did what he was supposed to do and allowed to do by the book. Was it sketchy? Hell yeah. It was sketchy.
I think you made another good point just mentioning the rules. There's so many kooky little golf rules. Nobody knows them all by heart, and you know, if there is a couple that you can take advantage of, so be it. It ended up being a couple stroke penalty, and he ended up still winning. So
but
no penalty, right? They didn't.
Oh no, I thought it was one. Oh, I guess I'm mistaken. I thought he ended up getting a stroke or two.
No, and could have potentially been a disqualification. That's supposedly why PointsBet refunded all the outright tickets not on Patrick Reed, because potentially a disqualification could have been in play.
Well, it doesn't matter for PointsBet because nobody bets with them anyway. So
well, that's not for me to comment on. That's a little sponsor we could get anybody out there.
Yeah, right.
But okay, so maybe coincidentally, maybe not. Patrick Reed wins the Farmers Insurance Open, and Patrick Reed takes down the tournament title as well as the tournament side pot in the Sunday Sandbagger Fantasy Golf League. His third win of the 2021 season already, moves into a tie for first place with Roy Tin Cup McAvoy. Bow down, folks. Yep. And the double par special. He's on a run. He's on a bit of a heater here, 2 of the last 3.
I'm a little nervous. He was not one of the people on my radar. I took a bit of a chance this week, and it didn't pay off, but I ended up being right where I thought I would be after losing. But I'll tell you what, I was not expecting Patrick Reed to come into the way. He's another contender that I really have to keep my eye on.
Moves past Spartan 80 into 4th place in the season-long standings. Now just 400 back of Dimple Balls.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely within striking distance this week. He surprisingly was the only one to select Patrick Reed in his lineup. And usually our group is pretty pro Patrick Reed. And for nobody to select him, I think that was pretty odd for our group of guys.
Especially because, in hindsight, it's always 2020, but this was kind of a Patrick Reed tournament, right? He had missed the cut the week before, and so it's already setting up for a rebound there. But it's also a stacked field. I mean, he does well against the very best, and the top of that field was very, very good. And so we probably should have expected Patrick Reed to contend, probably should have given him a little bit more love. I'm totally guilty of it. Had him in my very first fantasy lineup in the Sunday Sandbagger. I always put a lineup in Sunday while the tournament is just wrapping up, just to get things flowing. Yeah, see how it develops over the next couple days. He was in my very first lineup, came out immediately with my second iteration Monday, and was nowhere near my betting card.
He wasn't in my radar at all.
No, and probably should have been. But hey, your name is Patrick Reed in the Sunday Sandbagger. You better have Patrick Reed when he wins the tournament.
Nice win, cousin. Nice win.
Excellent win. Anybody got the and for those listening to the audio, Trevor is giving the thumbs up emoji on screen. Anybody got the standings up? Anybody want to run through it? You want me to take this one?
I can rip it off. SportsGuyTy, you jump back into second place over Tin Cup McAvoy, and are only trailing Dimpled Balls by 92 points. Like you said, Patrick Reed up to number 4. Spartan 80, Hags to Rags, 14 the hard way, all and CBP all kind of in there. And then myself and Brad Bradley Peterson, and a double par special rounding it out there.
Tin Cup, I told you there was one number I was focused on. One number and one number only last week.
Yes, you did.
And that was the deficit to Dimple Balls. I've now overtaken you not only, well, no, only. This is long-standing.
The money list.
And would you tell me how close it is between you and I?
You are a slim 13 points behind for second
That is
place.
exactly why I took the risk I was going to take this week, because I thought if I was right, I could have taken some serious distance, because I knew everybody was going to take, the standard guys that I avoided, Rahm and Rory especially. I was wrong. I fell a little bit, but there's plenty of room to gain momentum. What are we on the 4th tournament of 9 coming up here? So we got time. I think that was the right time to take a calculated risk.
So you took a hard left turn, didn't go with stars at the top of the lineup at Torrey. Give me a rundown. Who was your starting lineup? Who was your finishing lineup?
So yeah, I was really big on some Aussies. I really liked Adam Scott. I really liked Cameron Smith. I really liked Taylor Gooch. I thought he was going to be a really good star. I'm really disappointed in myself because I had Sam Burns in my lineup and I let you talk me out of him in the podcast. And I'm really disappointed in that one because I had him and then Johnny Hugh. So all of them had a great day one, bad day two. That's all I can say.
I got to ask ShallowCal, though, if he also feels partly responsible and largely can take credit for your lineup for getting in your head last week and telling you that you were just going to select the top golfers. Mind games, ShallowCal? Did it work?
A little bit. There's always that other, layer to everything when you take shots at different guys who are very prideful in what they do. But hey, I can't really talk too much trash. I didn't do a whole ton better.
You didn't win a tournament yet?
No.
How many is that now?
I had a really good opportunity this week. My guys, I had in my final lineup, Rahm, Hovland, Finau, and Ortiz, all on the first page of the leaderboard on Sunday, and then they all just fell, like a rock in water, just dropped. So,
and Ortiz really being the one that sunk you, not only because of the round on Sunday, but because of what you missed on Saturday.
Yeah, I had Ortiz on my bench on Saturday. I wasn't sure what, he had shot such different scores on the different courses. I really wasn't sure. So I went with Brandt Snedeker, who was more steady option, I thought. And Brandt ended shooting
yeah, but what did he do on Saturday?
I think Brandt ended up shooting 5 over on Saturday.
Ooh,
and
that's good, right?
And yeah. Carlos Ortiz shot 6 under. So that's 11 stroke plus bonus points, and yeah, I would have been up second place going into Sunday had I had Carlos Ortiz in my lineup instead of Snedeker.
I had a little bit of the cut sweats early myself. I subbed out Matt Wolff. I mean, I will fully own up to it and admit it last week. I'm the boy who cried Wolff on Matt Wolff. Had him all up and down my betting card. Initially had him in my fantasy lineup. When I read the news on Twitter that he was switching putters, that's actually what got me to pivot off him in fantasy, thankfully. But I wound up replacing him with Harris English. And as soon as Harris English turned in, I think it was 5 or 6 over in the first round. I mean, he's not coming back from that in a cut that's already going to be, decently deep, and so I'm down one golfer, and then I'm looking at Xander just putzing around even 1 under. Hideki's going everywhere from 2 under to 1 over. Finau took a little bit to get going. I wound up taking 4 golfers into the weekend. Had a lot of the star power at the top, burning starts on top guys, but I made 4 to the weekend, and it carried me. And what I was referring to, Tin Cup, is the gap that I was closing on you in the segment. As I said, I was also stalking last week. So now, despite you only being 13 back of me in the overall standings, I am 24 points back of you in the segment standings.
So it's still behind me, right?
But it's not about you anymore. It's about Patrick Weed now.
I got it this week. Don't you worry.
Before we move off the tournament, let's give some props to Hags to Rags. Big week, second overall in the tournament, also second overall in the segment. Been a steady climber, just 47 points behind Patrick Weed now for the segment lead, and he's in the money.
He's been killing it lately, Mad props to Hags to Rags. His last few lineups have been super solid.
They have been indeed.
Definitely looking for that top spot this week if he can manage to throw together a great lineup again.
Yep. Some final numbers from the standings update. As mentioned, Patrick Weed ties Roy Tin Cup McAvoy in the double par special for the most wins on tour this year with 3. It was also big for Patrick Weed in terms of career wins on tour. He is now just 1 behind me for first place all time. 3 wins since the start of the season. That'll move you up that list in a hurry. He also closes to within $7.50 of CBP for second all-time in the career money list. Patrick Weed at $917.50 after that $50 cash this week. I think that's about it for the relevant stats between what ShallowCal spit out. We've also got Dimple Balls continuing to lead the money list at $230, but have a number of competitors within about $100, $110 or so there. Yeah. All right, before we totally leave the farmers, let's recap quickly our betting on the Sunday Sandbagger. Really tough week in the outright betting, but let's start with the fantasy. Bad week for all of us on the outrights. ShallowCal, your guy had Hags to Rags, as we just mentioned, gave it a good fight, but came up short.
Yeah, a little disappointed, but get back on the horse and try again.
A lot better than Tin Cup's pick. The double par special really let you down, especially at those odds.
I feel like we were high on him early, and he's kind of fizzled out the last couple tournaments. So I expect big things from double par special in the next couple weeks.
And worst of all, yours truly.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, we'll see. Spartan 80 comes in dead last. I said it last week. That was my horse a couple times this year. Still looking for that search for that first win. I got to pivot. I can't go back until I see it. It's kind of like Finau, right? Like if I could bet Spartan 80 at a top 5, I'd be interested in that because he's somebody who contends on a weekly basis. But until he gets that win, I can't go back on the outrights.
Yeah.
So we're 0 for 3 there. Matchups, ShallowCal. I bow down to you, sir, and your infinite wisdom. SportsGuyTy over Roy Tin Cup McAvoy. Thank you, sir.
That's all right. I got nothing to say. That hasn't already been said.
Tin Cup, Dimpled Balls over SportsGuyTy was a loser this week. Disappointing week for Dimpled Balls as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is why it would have been so clutch to actually just have a good lineup because I could have gained some ground on him, but I didn't.
It was important.
It was. That's honestly what hurts most. Not what happened between you and I. What I let up there, but it's okay.
Fourth week in a row, I win the matchup. Patrick Weed over Bradley Peterson, but big props to Bradley Peterson. Third place finish behind Hags to Rags, another golfer who's starting to catch fire the last few weeks.
Yeah, we got some guys who are starting to catch some fire here.
I don't know what it is. The calendar flips. We get to the new year. The super season begins in the PGA Tour, and all of a sudden everybody's paying a little bit closer attention. Those side pots may be a little bit bigger with some majors coming up. All right, we will pick some winners and some outright winners and some matchups for the Waste Management Phoenix Open shortly for the Sunday Sandbagger, but let's jump right into previewing the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Tournament preview first. I think the big storyline first is that we've got fans. It's only 5,000 per day. It's nowhere near the 250,000 that'll pack the stadium course on a Saturday or a Sunday in a normal year. But we've got fans back for what feels like really the first time.
I think that's huge, honestly. And if you talk to any of the NFL guys, they said when they started getting fans back in the stadiums, even if it was at a fraction of what it normally is, they said the energy was completely different. So I'm expecting that same energy. Plus, Waste Management is kind of the biggest party on tour, so it's always a good time there.
Does it help Rory, ShallowCal? This is his first time playing at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. He's a guy who's been outspoken about the fact that not having fans, not being able to feed off that energy has affected his game. Does this help Rory this week?
Yeah. I mean, Rory's a guy that loves to play off that energy. I think once he's a momentum guy. If he can build up a lot of momentum and just keep that wave going, he plays so much better than when, then he's been playing and he'll build a wave of momentum and then it'll just kind of like fall back into the pack a little bit. He doesn't have that energy to keep going throughout and keep going and going and going. So I think that'll definitely help Rory. I think it'll also, it's very different. Like, what are the backdrops going to be that these guys are shooting into? Are you going to have the grandstands? Are you going to have stands? Or are they going to be people standing around the greens? I think that's a huge factor for everybody going into it. Because these guys haven't seen grandstands in a long time.
My guess is they'll do the grandstands, but space them out.
I think so too. I mean, if I'm one of those 5,000, I want to be in the grandstands. I think they know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I heard an interesting take earlier today. A lot of tournaments like the Waste Management Phoenix Open that have been the same course for a number of years typically have similar setups for TV towers, if they have grandstands, things like that. Without golfers being on without fans being on the course and the need for a lot of those things, golfers lose a lot of their sight lines because golfers will take an 8-iron into the green using a TV tower to the right, or the left side of the grandstands on 16 to fire the tee shot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I never
right?
thought about that. Yeah, never thought about that, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's wild. All right, so of course, what Waste Management Open is most known for is the rowdiest green on tour, what you're seeing in the background for Roy Tin Cup McAvoy right now. Number 16, the par 3. Let me just pause real quickly and say that for a long time in the 80s and 90s, it was a debate on tour if it was 16 in Phoenix or if it was 17 at Warwick Hills as the rowdiest green on tour. Had a couple uncles that grew up around the area. My grandparents, as I've mentioned several times, retired to that area of the golf course. They would bring kegs out there, 4 to 6 every time the tournament would roll into town. 17 was a lot of fun at Warwick. I wish that I'm glad that the PGA Tour is back in Michigan. I think it's a great golf state and it needs to be here. It's a bummer for me always that Buick Open is gone and that the 17th is gone, because the 16th at Phoenix is so much fun and it was so great to compete with that.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to it, but I think at Waste Management, the closing 4 holes, they're kind of out of this world. So you've got the risk reward par 5 there, leading into a very drivable par 4. Then you've got 2 holes there with just an abundance of water and sand, just to make it fun to see who's gonna screw up and who's gonna prevail.
The one thing that I would say about Warwick is that the houses and not the grandstand, I think, give it a little bit of an advantage there, in my mind. I love it being just more of a kind of, like you said, pulling kegs out back there, Ty. As opposed to the Phoenix Open, where you're going into a course and you're getting into grandstands and there's, you're probably paying $9-10 for a beer. I think the charm of being in an actual true country club setting has a little bit of um, something just to put it over that of the Phoenix Open.
Definitely a golfer's golf tournament. At the Waste Management Phoenix Open, par 71, 7,261 yards, Bermuda greens. As Tin Cup alluded to, that closing stretch is one of the best in golf, including hole number 17, which is the drivable par 4, gives up a lot of eagles, protected by the water. 40% of drives that ended up in the water on 17 last year went on to actually save par. So it's a risk-reward hole for sure. Maybe not as much risk, and that's going to make for a lot of fun down the end at the end of the tournament.
Absolutely. But I was also reading, speaking about the Bermuda greens, they say it's labeled Bermuda greens, but realistically there's 3 or 4 different types of grass. So they just say it's a hodgepodge. Yeah, so they say they just had to call it something, so it's Bermuda, but this is not your typical Bermuda greens.
No.
Nope.
No, and it's fast. It's going to roll fast as it always does in the desert.
Very, very fast. They said it's been labeled as a very fast green since 2016.
All right, so let's jump right into it. What are you looking at, Tin Cup? Important stats to consider. What moves the needle for you this week?
So I've got a couple interesting ones, a couple ones that I've said basically every week. So I'll start with that one. Scrambling, I think, is very, very important this week. The last 4 cut lines of the last 4 years have all been even. So it's a lot of people that, I mean, we're not looking at huge dramatic, finishes on these courses, on this course. Par 5 scoring is going to be important. And then this is kind of a fun one. Par 4s under 450 yards.
Mm-hmm. I like it. What about you, ShallowCal?
So I think my biggest one is going to be the shots gained on the par 5s. These 3 par 5s are all pretty much reachable in 2.
Mm-hmm.
You really gotta take advantage of the scoring that's available to you this week at these par 5s. Since you only have 3 opportunities each round.
And must really score on the par 5s at Phoenix to compete. But like Trevor said, where you're going to separate, where Tin Cup said, where you're going to separate is those shorter par 4s.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And the guys that are going to be able to go after those par 4s, if they can, we don't have Bryson this week, so you don't have the number 1 culprit. But you definitely got some guys out there that can put it far out there and drive the ball real well. So we'll see.
Yep, I'm looking at a lot of the same stats, same avenues that both of you are pursuing. Driving accuracy for me, strokes gained off the tee, not narrow fairways, but tighter fairways this week. Bombers are going to do well. It's not a prerequisite. You can win as a shorter hitter, as evidenced by guys like Webb Simpson.
Yep.
Doing very well here. But if you can put it in the fairway, you're going to be in position to score. Greens in regulation, it's been a separating stat in the last 4 or 5 Waste Management Phoenix Opens. I think every winner has been inside the top 10 in greens in regulation. Par 4 scoring, like Tin Cup mentioned, drive 17. And then just got to score on those par 5s. That's basically baseline. You gotta gain strokes in the par 5s, and then you got to separate on those shorter par 4s. Golfers to target. Tin Cup, talk to me about who you're looking at first for your fantasy lineup.
So some golfers to target this week. I think an easy pick would be Jon Rahm. Last 4 years, he's been all top 20 finishes. Matsuyama, he's had 4 top 20 finishes in the last 5 years, including a first place in both 2017 and 2016. He just plays outstanding there.
Yep. What about you, ShallowCal?
Yeah, Matsuyama, to build on what Tin Cup said there, 24 of his 25 career rounds at TPC Scottsdale have been under par. That's just pretty fantastic.
It's a place he loves.
But as far as the fantasy lineup, I'm gonna go with this guy right here, the X-Man. He's gonna make the cut. He's going for one full year of making the cuts this week, and maybe you don't start him, but you got to stash him as a safety option. The X-Man, definitely somebody to target for your fantasy lineup.
I love the X-Men in fantasy as well as on my betting card, and I'm going to get into that a bit more because I'm fairly heavily invested in him this week on the betting card. Similar names for me. I think a lot of the guys you mentioned, definitely Matsuyama, Tin Cup as well, mentioned him. Ricky Fowler, Hideki Matsuyama, Webb Simpson, Matt Kuchar, John Rahm, most strokes gained the last 5 years at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Kuchar of that bunch, of course, not playing to form. Matsuyama makes me nervous. He has to be considered because of his past, but his form has been up and down this year. I actually think Ricky Fowler's live this week, and I think we're going to see him in a couple of lineups.
Do you know who Hideki Matsuyama's mental coach is?
I don't.
Nope.
Todd Roller Coaster Jones, man. It's just up and down.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, who are we fading? Give me one or two golfers that you will not consider for your fantasy lineup under any circumstances this week. Let's start with you, Tim Cup.
Yeah, I'm just going to fade one guy this week, and I don't have a particular reason. I just got that funny itch that he's not going to perform well. Bubba Watson. Haven't seen much from him this year. I know he's a long driver typically with that pink driver, but fading him.
That's one that I have struggled with a lot too because his course history is so good, but his form hasn't been. He is a top 10 machine in Phoenix, but he's been very up and down this year. Hasn't shown what you want to see to this point to be invested heavily. Okay, what about you, ShallowCal? You going somewhere else? I'm taking it by that wagging finger.
Yeah. Bubba. I could never go against Bubba.
Baghdad Bubba, baby.
Yeah. I'm gonna go against Billy Ho. Man, let me down. He's let me down quite a bit so far this year. So, not gonna go back to the well on that one this week. I'm gonna fade Billy Ho.
Billy Ho lit it up first round at Phoenix last year. He fired a 61. Yeah. We'll talk betting. I like Billy. I agree. I'm not on Billy Ho from a fantasy perspective this week, but I like him a few places around the card. For me, it's a couple mats.
Strictly fantasy purposes. He's missed a couple of cuts for me, and I'm not going back to that.
No. There's better options in the field this week, and the PGA Tour fantasy golf game is one where most weeks are playing stars. Not every week, but most weeks are playing stars. You got to find the right stars. You got to save the right amount of stars for the right tournaments for those stars. But you're playing the bigger names most weeks, unless like Tin Cup tried last week. You're trying to slingshot up a leaderboard in a particular segment, things of that nature. So, it makes a lot of sense. There's just better options, right, in the fantasy game than Billy Ho this week. For me, it's a couple of mats. I'm fading Matthew Wolff, completely off him again this week. I actually think this course sets up beautifully for him, and all things being equal, he should dominate, and he should be at the top of a lot of betting cards this week. But after what we saw last week, the finger's an issue, everything. I don't want any part of it. I'm staying away. Matt Kuchar as well, as I alluded to. Tremendous history here, but just hasn't been in good form out of my lineup this week. Give me one guy, each of you, and we'll start with you first this time, ShallowCal. One guy who is going to be in your fantasy lineup this week.
One guy who is going to be in my fantasy lineup this week. John Rahm.
I think that's going to be a popular pick. What about you, Tim Cup?
He went to Arizona State. He plays really well at this course. If he would have putted a little bit better last week, he would have been a little bit closer. I expect him to get that putter week to week, who knows? But he's been striking the ball very well. I expect
Arizona State guy, lives in Scottsdale.
Exactly.
He wants a win here.
This is he's going to be going for it. Can't leave him out of your lineup. You cannot.
Are you starting him?
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Tin Cup?
I think the crowds are going to make a difference for him. Rory, I'm going to have him in that lineup for sure this week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I like both of those names a lot. I'm going to go with, man, it'd be easy to tag on one of both of those two because they're both 2 of the 8 that I'm down to or so for these 6 spots. But I'm going to go with Daniel Berger. I've got a hunchy feeling about Daniel Berger this week. I don't know if it's hunchy enough to start him. He may start out on the bench and see how things go. But he's another guy who plays well, a couple T10s here, a couple T20s, plays well in big fields like this. It's likely not going to be a shootout. Typically, the Waste Management Phoenix Open stays below that -20 number, and Berger is a guy who wins a lot of those tournaments. He's not a birdie fest guy. So I think Daniel Berger is going to be in my lineup this week.
Love it.
Yeah, I liked his numbers and the odds that he was getting on a couple of the places that I saw him. And I almost went with him in a couple of different spots for outright, top 10, maybe a first-round leader. So, yeah, Dan, I think Berger's going to have a good week this week.
All right, let's recap very quickly where we stand on the leaderboard between the 3 of us for picking one outright winner and one matchup winner every week in the Sunday Sandbagger, which is our home fantasy golf league on PGA Tour Fantasy Golf. And then we'll get into where the odds stand for the Waste Management Phoenix Open and picking some outrights and some matchups there. ShallowCal, you go even at the Farmers. You are 4-0 in matchups right now, and a big separator for you, an outright winner. You are leading the way at +5 units. I'm not going to ask you for your picks yet, but you got to feel good through 4 tournaments to be up 5 units and leading the way.
Hey, whenever you're in that black number, you feel good,
Yeah, I'm not quite in the black. Actually, I'm dead even, so I don't even know what you would call that. I guess if you're green,
Yeah,
right? I got green if we're talking golf terms.
Yeah.
So I'm second on the leaderboard at an even green overall. The thing that's been saving me is I'm undefeated in matchups as well. I'm 4-0, but the big separator, as mentioned, I don't have that outright winner yet. So I am dead even through 4 tournaments. Tin Cup, you're pulling up the rear right now. You were down 2 units at the Farmers, which is really what created some of that gap, but only down 2.25 units overall. Plenty of time to make it up. 1-3 in matchups, 1 outright winner. What do you think right now?
Yeah, it's time to pick it up. I've had a couple bad weeks. Well, actually, I didn't have that bad of a week 2 weeks ago, but this last week was not great. So,
a lot of the picks were close too in the matchups.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's turn our attention to brighter times ahead. Waste Management Phoenix Open odds for the Sunday Sandbagger.
Oh, baby.
We're gonna give some respect where some respect is due. Patrick Weed leads off as the betting favorite this week at +220. SportsGuyTy moves slightly ahead of Tin Cup in the season-long standings, as well as the betting odds, +225. Tin Cup is slightly behind at +250. Dimple Balls as well, couple subpar weeks, but still holds the overall UPS Cup standings lead. Hags to Rags, we've given him his due. He's up to +275 now on the betting board, which is 5th overall. Double Par Special stays put at +300. Bradley Peterson +325 as well. CBP at +400. $14 the hard way. 2 golfers that have been struggling recently. He comes in at $475. ShallowCal, we got you some company this week. +500, but we are dropping Spartanity down again until he gets the win. We're gonna trim those odds a bit. You feel like that's a fair look on the card?
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair look. I was a little disappointed to see myself not jump up a little bit, even though I finish higher than some $14 the hard way guy like every single week here. What's he got here to get some better odds around here for one?
He's won tournaments.
He has won tournaments. He has won tournaments, and he may be getting a historical bump. May have to have some better odds adjustments on $14 the hard way coming out this week. But we dropped him to 475. That's in the neighborhood for sure.
I'd rather be able to pick him than win him. So
that's right. We will not mention the other two. I've removed Eric's winners from the UBS Cup standings leaderboard until he comes back and plays a tournament. He's out. All right, let's jump right into our picks for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. ShallowCal, who are you going with for the outright this week?
My outright this week, I'm going to go back to the Wolff from week 1 for my winner, the outright, the double par special. He has had a few poor showings so far, and I'm really shocked. So I think he's really going to dive in and try to right the ship here for this segment. So I'm going to go with the double par special for my outright.
What's the side pot up to?
Side pot is at.
Go ahead.
Please continue.
I was going to say, since the dictator has kicked me out of the group, I have no idea what I'm betting into.
That's a good opportunity to pause the conversation and update the listening audience on where we stand with the GroupMe standoff. So since the last podcast, there's been some developments. The first update is that Tin Cup is still not part of the GroupMe. His self-imposed ban continues. He chooses not to wear an Eli Manning jersey on the podcast and pay homage to the greatest that ever was. He chooses not to coax Ridgely into coming on the podcast, and he has not won 3 consecutive side pots yet and must start over again this week.
True.
New developments, though. A competing GroupMe arises.
Better GroupMe arises. For those, I won't share the content because it's private, but the reviews are positive, let's just say.
So Trevor and Ridgely, Tin Cup and Ridgely are being investigated for crimes against humanity. And we can't go any further into detail at this time, but we will have comment appropriately when and if the groups ever merge, and we welcome Tin Cup back into the fold and his true family.
So I'm sorry, what is the side pot up to?
$50 this week. No, yeah, $35. $50 last week.
Still got a couple of days to go.
We do. And actually, also a good time to revisit. I called no triple-digit side bots. Not gonna make it, I don't think. I don't think there's a tournament other than WGC maybe that threatens it, but I think we'll see 50 again this week. Okay, continue. ShallowCal, you're going with double par special, getting some value on those odds at plus 300. Tin Cup, who's the outright pick this week?
Well, it's funny you said you should remove him from the list because I'm going with Ridgely this week. Outright winner. Book it. I've got it from high authority that we've got a lineup coming from this gentleman this week. Calling it.
All right, so we do need to then revisit the odds boards. Clearly, there's some insider information.
Leave them at those odds. Leave them at the odds.
Oh, you can't change the odds now. I'm betting this at plus 12,500.
Oh no! You're fully credited for the bet. We didn't name Ridgely earlier, so his odds are 125 to 1. So for the listening audience,
no, they're at 12,500.
125 to 1.
Oh God, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So you're getting Ridgely at 125 to 1. Now, given that someone is betting Ridgely at this stage in the game, there's likely going to be an adjustment on those odds. So if you want to get in now, the getting's good. This is like me waking up Monday morning and seeing Hendrik Norlander at 150, and then looking.
Can I slide a slip into the window? Can I slide a betting slip into the window at 125?
And I will say, I actually think we have Ridgely as a guest coming very, very soon.
Tonight on the show?
He wasn't able to make it tonight, but he did promise me a lineup.
All right.
Well. So this is interesting. We'll see if Ridgely submits a lineup and tries to get back in consideration. Obviously, the season long's over for him. Obviously, the segment is over for him. But it seems like there's a small insurrection fomenting in the competing GroupMe, and this seems like it could be a move in that direction.
He has one goal, he said, really, and that's to beat you.
Well, I'm going to stop giving him free tips then, because I told him to load up on Bryson this week, and he sent me a text message with a Benjamin Franklin on Bryson at plus 850 in the Saudi Invitational. So I'm gonna stop giving Richard free tips, but we would welcome him back into the competition and hopefully the side pot to take his money. Also banned from the GroupMe, so we will rely on money transfers through foreign nations and governments and intermediaries to discuss any potential entries in the side pot.
Sounds great.
All right. So my outright then this week, I mean, do I just jump in and grab those 125 to 1 odds too? Never will I bet on Ridgely. I'm going Bradley Peterson at plus 325 again. I've gone to the well also with Bradley a couple times. Great showing last week. I think that he is definitely live. All right, matchups, Tin Cup, who you got?
I'm going Ridgely over SportsGuyTy.
Fomenting an insurrection. I'll be cutting off lines of communication later with Ridgely.
I need an easy win this week. I need to get back in the matchup, so I'm really, really satisfied with this pick.
I can't wait to see what Ridgely's lineup is because Ridgely is a top of the odds board lineup guy. He's not going the top 6 golfers necessarily as those picked and owned on the fantasy app. He's just going straight of the odds betting board. So I'm interested to see how this shakes out. All right, ShallowCal, who's your matchup?
I'm going to go our boy Hags to Rags over Tin Cup.
Wow.
I think Tin Cup showed a little chink in the armor last week and maybe might overreach this week to try to grab some of those points back. So I think I'm going to go with real consistency in my matchup this week with Hags to Rags. He's been up there and been doing well.
Holding on to second place in that segment with Tin Cup nipping at his heels at third. That's going to be a matchup to watch this week.
I like it. I like it.
All right. Well, I'm going to reward ShallowCal for his loyalty in recent weeks, and I am going ShallowCal in a matchup over Dimpled Balls.
Wow.
And if I had to cap this one a little bit, I mean, I think I'd probably have to give myself plus 150 taking ShallowCal in the straight matchup here.
I actually want that matchup win as well. I like it.
That's how I was kind of thinking, get the co-host a win and help myself out in the standings. There's not a lot of bad stuff going on there.
Win.
All right. Any final thoughts on fantasy golf or the Sunday Sandbagger League for this week before we move on to betting?
Yeah,
Ridgely's taking you down, buddy.
I think it's great that we've got another addition into the pool. It can only enrich the experience.
We don't have the entry yet officially. Presumably that currency has to be exchanged, likely in Canada, some type of wire transfer through intermediaries with Tin Cup before that $5 makes its way in.
Yeah.
All right, Tin Cup, anything from you?
No, I'm just really, really looking forward to Ridgely's return here.
All right, well, let's take a hard right turn from that and jump right into right-click print money. Unfortunately, that hard right turn is going to lead all 3 of us to a dead end because we were an embarrassing 0 for 9 collectively in our best bets on outrights, top 10s, and matchups this week, down a total of 9 units as a group. We'll start with the outrights. We've already covered off my love affair with Matt Wolff last week and how poorly that turned out. Tin Cup and ShallowCal, close but no cigar. You both had to. Did either of you bet outrights on? Did you have them on your card beyond our leader tracking for Hovland or Scott this week?
I had Scott in some offshore betting app. I'm officially allowed on BetMGM now, so.
Big day, so we can expect cards from you in the future.
Well, they only do, sorry, Cal, but they only do outright win. They don't do matchup or top 10 or top 20, so it's okay.
They'll bring it on board. I'm sure they're ramping up.
I did have Hovland for actually for outright for a full unit. I was getting him at I want to say it was 23-1, and at
still
one
low numbers on Hovland. He's a winner though. He's a winner.
Yeah, and there was a point on Sunday for about 25-30 minutes where I could have cashed it out. So I had him for a unit, and I could have cashed him out. I think it was for 4 or 5 units, and obviously I passed on that. And as soon as I closed the app and went and was playing with my kids and came back to the TV, he was at like 9 under, and I was like, what just happened? Bouncy house happened in the basement, and we lost track of time, and it was a different world up here.
You both had some good sweats though on those outrights. As mentioned, not so much for me and Matt Wolff. Top tens was a tough go for all of us as well. Rory was your pick, Tin Cup. He finishes just outside the top 10 at T16. Big mess on Sunday is what it was for Rory.
Yeah, really. He came out strong. He looked really solid, and then all of a sudden fell off when I needed him most.
I had a very similar happening with Gary Woodland. Was actually threatening after 2 rounds on Friday. Looked like that 80-1 long shot ticket I had was very, very live and was going to be a lot of fun to sweat all weekend, and completely came apart. If you would have, I would have doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on Friday night on Gary Woodland top 10, and probably any odds you would have given me. Like, that's how confident I was he was going to cash that plus 750 ticket, and just collapsed as well.
I've got some exciting news. I just checked. They've already added a top 5, top 10, leader first round. They've already updated BetMGM, so I am going to deposit some money right now. And
FanDuel's got it all uploaded already too. They had it this morning. I looked. I've got some on my card.
See. And all the sites load them progressively throughout the week. You get your first numbers trickling in, like usually 8, 9 a.m. Monday morning from either DraftKings or sometimes some of the offshores, but they'll all build. They'll add top 5s, top 10s, first round leaders, all that stuff as the week goes on. Okay, and then Jason Day, ShallowCal, tough week for him, tough week for you in the top 10 as well.
I mean, there's not really much to say about that one. Yeah. He plays well at that course, I thought, but no, did not play well this week. Tough go for the Aussies, except for Leishman. But Adam Scott threatened, but he's not. He's
came unraveled a bit on Sunday.
He really couldn't finish it off either.
We were bad on the matchups as well. Leishman loses to Zalatoris for Tin Cup. Wolff withdraws against him for ShallowCal. Charles Howell III misses the cut for me against Ricky Fowler, and we wind up over 3 in matchups as well.
Yeah.
So, current betting leaderboard update. Tin Cup, after a 3-unit loss at the Farmers, you are down 3.7 units overall. I am slightly ahead of that, but also down 3.5 units total after a 3-unit loss. ShallowCal, you tack on 3 to you, and you are down 8.9 units overall, updated as of the Farmers. We got to get rolling, boys. We need an outright winner. We really need to start hitting some of these top 10s, these matchups.
Yeah, that would be nice, huh?
Would always be nice.
I think I got one or two this week.
All right. Well, before we get into our full cards, which I do want to discuss, and I do want to briefly touch on Euro Tour as well coming up. You are listening to the Sunday Sandbagger podcast. Let's do Waste Management Phoenix Open picks. First for our 3 that we're tracking for the betting leaderboard purposes for this version of this show. Callow, give me your outright first in the odds. Give me the top 10, and give me a tournament matchup.
So for my outright, I have got one, Mr. Webb with 2 Bs, Simpson at plus 1,600 for my outright.
He's in that group of sub 20-1. Tough to separate that group. He's a past champion. I like it. Where are you going with top 10?
Top 10. I'm going with Mr. Top 10 here. Give me Bubba Watson.
Bubba.
Yep. Getting plus 410 there on that one. So we'll go with Bubba. He's got six top 10s in his last 14 starts, and he's been under par in the first round in all 14 of those starts. So he's going to get a quick start, hopefully.
I love that plus 410 number on Bubba Top 10. You got a shot to get that, though. FanDuel is where I found it because he's shorter than that on both DraftKings and at some of the offshore sites as well.
Yep, that's where I found it.
All right, matchup.
Gary Woodland over Billy Ho, plus 108.
Plus money on Gary Woodland over Billy Ho. The driver has been an absolute mess for Gary Woodland. Billy Ho was lights out the first round last year. I can buy those odds, and I like the Gary Woodland rebound. I
like those plus matchups, especially with Gary Woodland showing a little bit better than Billy Ho over the past few weeks.
All right, Tin Cup, you going shorter or longer than Callow's 16-1 outright on Webb?
Shorter.
where are we going?
I'm going with Justin Thomas on the outright, plus 800.
Nice. So here's where fantasy lineups and betting cards can diverge. I don't have Justin Thomas on my card, but I'm very interested in him for fantasy this week. Why do you like him as an outright?
It's his first tournament back since the controversy. He's been doing, I think he's been playing in the European Tour, hasn't he?
Yeah, he missed the cut last week.
Missed the cut last week. So that's actually even better. I didn't know that, but he'll come back ready to play. He's going to be up against some top competition. He plays really well in these conditions, and I'm looking forward to him coming through as an outright.
Okay, who's your top 10?
Top 10 is Daniel Berger at plus 200. You alluded to him earlier. I'm big on him this week. I think he can do well.
Yep, I like that. I don't have a top 10 number on Berger on my card right now because he's one of my shorter plays that I'll get into, but I like that number on Berger. Matchup.
I've got Hunan over Corey Connors, plus 100. Hunan has never missed a cut at this tournament, so I think it's a good, safe guy. And Corey Connors, he's been good, but when he's off on his putting, he's off, and I think this is not the place for him.
I actually have a long shot on Corey Connors this week, and I was in one iteration of my fantasy lineup. He was stashed on my bench as a.
I love Connors, but if he's off, he's off, and I think he'll be off.
Yeah.
I said Saudi Arabia. JT missed the cut in Dubai, coming out of the Omega Dubai Desert Classic.
Yeah.
I like Corey Connors a lot this week. I kicked the tires on him for everything, for fantasy, for betting purposes. This is a course that suits his eye. A lot of numbers line up for it. Very, very interesting. Okay. I like all those picks. Benny On, I love that pick. He's a guy. He's a course horse in Phoenix. I got him as a top 20 at plus 275. But
nice.
let me roll my outrights top 10 matchups. Then we'll expand our cards a little bit. So I am gonna go a little bit longer with my outright this week, and I'm going Brooks Koepka at 50-1. I like the number more than I do the outright play, to be perfectly honest. I want to bet Brooks at 50-1. That's a number that seems a little bit crazy to me with what we've seen him do at big tournaments. Risk there, certainly. For my top 10,
jump out and win at any point in time. He's got the talent to win tournaments. That's if he's on, he can definitely go out there and win one. And
this is another tournament with a big field at the top, which he likes to compete with.
Yeah.
Top 10, it's Big Willie Z season. Will Zalatoris, I found a plus 400 number on him. So I'm
Nice.
going top 10, Willie Zalatoris. For my matchup this week, man, I don't have a matchup ready. I have actually gone the route. I'm trying something different this week with my overall card. I'm big into matchups in general. That's usually where I anchor 4 of my 10 units every week because I like the one-on-ones. They've been doing very poorly for me, and the odds are low. So I don't have any matchups in my card this week. So I will get one shortly.
What about this? You can take one of mine that's on my card. Do you like Brenton Steele over Harmon at plus 108?
Steele's got some good course history as well. What else you got?
And then I got Woodland over Billy Ho, which I already took. And that's my only matchup because I didn't like the odds on everything else.
What about
all right, give me.
Oh, go ahead.
What do you got?
I'm just looking here. So you got Matsuyama over Harry English at negative 125, English at plus 100.
I kind of like Harry English in that, honestly. I know that Matsuyama's a big name, but I just got a feeling it's not right for him right now.
Okay.
What else you got? Throw 2 or 3 more at me. I'll grab one of these.
All right. Let me see here.
Give me here. I'll tell you what. Here's some of the outrights I'm taking. You got any matchups handy on Sam Burns or Max Homa?
Hey, how about
I don't see either of them in my matchups. No.
How about Emiliano Grillo, 130 to 1?
As an outright?
Yeah, that's
a long number.
That's a long number, and he could do it. He was there. He's been right there.
I considered him for a first round leader ticket for sure.
Yeah. I got first round leader ticket on Bubba.
Run me through your card, Callow. I'm gonna get a matchup here.
All right, for sure. Yeah, so I've got Bubba as my only first round leader at 45 to 1 odds. I've got quite a few outrights. A couple on the Euro Tour, which I'll start with first. I've got our boy Patrick.
And we should say Euro Tour is Saudi Invitational. Big week for the Euro Tour. It's a pay-for-play event, so they are giving guaranteed dollars to a number of the top American players to come over. Big names, Bryson, DJ. But continue. You were saying our boy Patty Reed.
Our boy Patrick Reed. He's 16 to 1 that I got him at over there. And the way that he was striking the ball and the way that he was playing around the greens and putting, oh man. Let me get him again.
Lifetime member on the European Tour, Patrick Reed.
Yes. Patrick Reed is playing really, really well.
And then of the chase to Dubai, right? The race to Dubai, I do believe.
Yeah. And so my other one is, like you said, how can you not root for Tony Finau? So I got him at 16 to 1 as well. So those are my 2 Euro Tour guys that I'm going to look for. I like to pick and choose my Euro Tour card. So
no Europeans for you then.
What's that?
No Europeans for you in the kingdom.
No, if I had to pick one European, it would be Shane Lowry because that's just my man's right there. He's just if I could be Irish, that's what I'd want to be right there.
50 to 1. I don't hate Shane Lowry.
Yeah, no.
So I've got two bets for you that'll be on my card that are a little bit different. I've got you mentioned him earlier, Homa and Steele to both finish in the top 20 for plus 1,200, and then I've got Matsuyama top Asian and Grillo to be the top South American at plus 550.
Who are the other South Americans in the field? Munoz. Who else is on that number? Ortiz. Okay, I can dig that. Those are some pretty long numbers for Grillo to get that top finishing spot. I like that.
Yeah, I'm pleased.
Okay.
Yeah, I took a couple of other long ones. I took Cameron Champ at 100 to 1.
I like Cameron Champ this week.
Corey Connors 80 to 1. Brendan Steele 90 to 1. I also took Koepka 50 to 1. That's just when I saw 50 to 1, I was like, how can you not go after that one?
Totally. I love the bet much more than I love the player right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The number is just too good to give up. I got Rom at plus 160 in a top 5. So throw half a unit at that. Um, and then Bubba top 10 and Hideki Matsuyama top 5.
Okay. We got to find a way to put our betting cards somewhere. We got to get those out so we can promote our full betting cards. But we'll think on that for the next episode. That's a lot of numbers that I like. Anything else for you, Tin Cup, either from Phoenix or from Europe on your card this week? Are you submitting a card this week? You were getting ready to deposit on NGM, so you.
As we were going there, I already put it in there, and I've made a few bets here. So yes, I'll definitely have one,
the game, baby.
Including a few Super Bowl bets already. But
damn right.
No, I don't have anything for the European tour. I don't know that
Speaking
I'll
of Super Bowl, get your money in for squares, guys. Get your money.
If you haven't paid up for the squares, pay up for the squares.
Yeah, pay up for the squares. I mean, I just have a couple outrights that I picked. Matsuyama, Daniel Berger at plus 3,000. I've got the heads.
Wait, you got Berger at plus 3,000?
Yep, Daniel Berger at plus 3,000.
For an outright on BetMGM?
Oh, no, sorry. That's leader after the first round.
Okay. Actually, that's still a great number. I mean,
I think I did pick him
once.
but I got another one, Augustine. I got him
John Augustine.
Got him at an outright runner at plus 30,000. So,
all right. So
just taking what?
Well, okay, no, he's got to be 300 to 1, not 30 to 1. Plus 300,000, or plus 30,000.
30,000, yeah, plus 30,000, yep.
All right, so give me an idea of what are you putting on Augustine? You don't have to give me a dollar number, but what type of unit are you putting on Augustine? What percentage?
I'll probably put about 5 units on Augustine, just see if I can hit something. Yeah, why not?
5 units. 501.
I like to take these stabs in at these big odds out of there, and I'm excited. I think
all right,
I think it could hit.
Forget Super Bowl parties. If John Augustine wins the Waste Management Phoenix Open, we're going to Tin Cup's Lake House for a weekend after the Super Bowl party at 300 to 1 odds.
I cannot wait.
If you see him win, I'll be doing a backflip on this podcast.
Yeah, that's not happening.
No, it's not.
All right, so I'm sorry that just totally everything that you said before John Augustine 5 units at 300 to 1 I've lost. So just quickly recap me what you bet on again.
So I got Daniel Berger finishing first in the leader first round leader. Homa. I did bet Corey Connors as an outright at plus 6,600. Just
I got him at 80 to 1.
Nice.
I got him at plus 8,000.
Even better.
80,000. 8,000. Yeah, 8,000.
Okay.
That's all I got so far. I got a lot to still go here.
Fantastic. All right. Well, as I mentioned, I'm trying a bit of a different strategy this week. I'm fading matchups completely. Don't have any on my card right now. I'm still sticking with a 10-unit card for PGA, a 10-unit card for Euro. Very disappointing that I cannot find anywhere to give me each way bets, either on either of my cards, the PGA or Euro, like you can in Europe. So I basically what my pivot has been is I've pivoted to an each way strategy. So most of my outrights I've got top 5s and top 10s on as well. So let me just run through my outrights. I'm going a full unit on Xander at 10 to 1. I love the way he was playing, the way he charged up that leaderboard Sunday. I'm also on Berger, as I mentioned, Big Willie Z at 40 to 1, Koepka and Watson at 50 to 1. My long shots this week, Sam Burns 80 to 1, going back to the well after I took Tin Cup off it last week. Max Homa at 80 to 1 as well, and then I went Norlander at 100 to 1. I was texting with ShallowCal earlier this week on Monday about missing Norlander. I can't remember if it was 125 to 1 or 150 to 1, but it dropped almost immediately after I sent that text. I still went back to the well on him. So I've got top fives on all those guys. So basically the equivalent of like a top five each way. I also have top tens on all of them except Schauffele and Berger, and then I went a completely different way with my top 20 bets. I got 0.4 units on Benny On at plus 275, added Norlander as well with a top 20 at 335, and Sebastian Munoz at plus 450. My other big pivot this week, I expanded my first round leader card. I typically throw about 0.2 units at 5 to 6 guys. I went 9 this week. That's where I'm trying to do it. Let's just hit a first round winner, make this a huge weekend right off the bat, pay for the PGA card, pay for the Euro card, get rolling right in the Super Bowl. John Rahm, Schauffele, Harris English, Sung J M, Fowler, Horschel, Benny On, Wyndham Clark at 90 to 1, and Joel Damon at 100 to 1. That rounds out my card this week. Time to get back in the black.
Wow.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, we'll see. I've also got some numbers on Europe. Give me your 2 outrights on Europe again, Cal. You went with ShallowCal. You went with the Americans.
Yeah, I went with 2 Americans, Finau and Reed at 16 to 1.
All right, so here's the homework assignment for both of you. I'm not even going to say next week because actually after the Saudi International, we take, I think it's a 5-week break. It may only be a 3-week break, but European Tour goes on hiatus for a period of time. When we come back in either 3 or 5 weeks on the Euro Tour, I want both of you to have full Euro Tour cards. Doesn't have to be 10-unit cards, but I want you to get you together some full cards for the Euro Tour. Let's bring that into the segment as well.
Okay.
A couple Americans are going to be playing coming out of that break. I got a feeling as well.
Yeah.
All right.
If I can get a sponsor's exemption, I'll play.
If I can get a sponsor's exemption to anywhere in Europe or in the United States for that matter, I'll play.
No.
All right. I went a similar strategy with my Euro card for Saudi International. As mentioned earlier in the podcast, a lot of big American names overseas this week, pay-for-play events, some guaranteed dollars, bringing guys like Tony Finau away from his hometown in Scottsdale to play in this event. No Finau for me. I'm going 4 units on DeChambeau. This is my biggest outright bet to date. I just got a feeling it's a course for bombers. I think DeChambeau at 850 is actually a bit of a value. My other Americans, Hovland, I got Thomas Peters at 50 to 1, Adri Arnas at 70 to 1, Victor Perez at 80 to 1, and then I've got 3 maidens, each at 150 to 1, Victor Dubuisson, Sean Crocker, and Ryan Fox. As I mentioned, similar strategy to my PGA Tour card. I basically have top 5s. I do have top 5s on all those guys except DeChambeau and Hovland. Got top 10s on all of them as well. Plus, I threw in Lowry Cantor at 7 to 1, Kanaya at 750 to 1. I got a couple top 20s on Harry Hall, Migliozzi, and I got 5 first-round leaders where I sprinkled in some Americans: Dustin Johnson, Kevin Na at the top. But I pivoted my Euro Tour strategy as well. My third card, I got to get back in the black here.
Jesus Christ!
That's yeah. Wow.
So 10 units again, but spread more over the each ways. The winners plus the top 5s, top 10s.
Nice. All right.
For more names, I got 8 names really that are at the core of my card for outrights and each ways.
Yeah, you're fine.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I've been rambling on a lot here about Europe. I think we've reached the end of our time. Any closing thoughts, big storylines to follow this week, both in the Sunday Sandbagger? We got Ridgely potentially making a return, as well as the tour, the PGA Tour and the European Tour split events. Anything else? Any closing thoughts? Anything you got your eye on this week, ShallowCal?
Good luck to everybody. This week is going to be a fun week with fans back. Finally get a little bit of that atmosphere going. Get your money in for Super Bowl squares. You're not going to want to miss out on that $300 grand prize for the final score. So,
hey, Tin Cup, can you open some lines of communication to the South African jungles and see if Ridgely is interested in Super Bowl squares? Or is he back in Venezuela?
Yes.
Is he in Caracas?
I mean, he's on that book tour, so I'll have to ask.
Is he really on a book tour?
Yeah.
Really?
I can't wait to read what Ridgely wrote. All right, Tin Cup, any closing thoughts from you?
I mean, Ridgely's just going to mop the floor with you this week, and I'm excited to watch that happen.
See, these are the reasons why you and Ridgely aren't allowed to group me anymore. I'm excited for a huge Sunday. I'm getting up at 4:30 a.m. to tune into the Saudi International. I'm going to start my day with about 5 hours of Euro Tour golf. Take a quick break, spend some time with the wife and the baby, roll right into PGA Tour Live at 11 a.m. for the Waste Management Phoenix Open final round. Take that all the way up through network coverage to the Super Bowl on Sunday. Super Bowl squares, get your money in, buy some squares. Got a nice card shaping up for the NFL as well. I'm excited. Big weekend. All right, fellas.
Yeah,
It's been real.
No, I just have a cat that's attacking my leg right now.
All right, well, we will let Lambo send us out on that note. You've been listening to the Sunday Sandbagger. I'm your host, SportsGuyTy, joined as always by ShallowCal and Tin
Go
Cup.
Blue.
Gentlemen, hit them long, hit them straight if you got the opportunity.
Tonight, maybe I'll get out of bed.